Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Hannegriff.
And a pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome to Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Mario Jerez, Taylor Sharp, and college basketball. I like it when I come into the studio at this time of day and there's live sports going on. That tells me that well, either it's the holiday tournaments, which aren't very important, or it's the NCAA it's championship week heading into the NCAA tournament. By the way, next Thursday and Friday we'll be broadcasting from Beau Rivage for the first two rounds of the tournament. So looking very much forward to that. So, I don't know that I get all that pumped up when I walk in here and I see Davidson and St. Bonaventure. Okay, that's all right. It's not bad. Then Wake Forest and Syracuse. Hey, okay, that's the ACC. I know that. SEC tournament also getting underway later on today. Things you didn't expect when you woke up this morning. LSU, a favorite. Yes, a favorite, I tell you. A 2-point favorite. Some odds maker in Las Vegas somewhere said, yes, I have watched the LSU Tigers play an entire season of basketball. I have watched the Georgia Bulldogs play an entire season of basketball. And yes, I think that the LSU Tigers are the better team by 2 points. Okay. Well, last time they played a couple of weeks ago, LSU might have been the better team. It was real close. Georgia hadn't won a game since. I don't know that this is a matchup that anybody spent a great deal of time scrutinizing. I certainly this is not the number one thing that was on my mind when I got up this morning, but I look at that and you automatically think stinky line, okay? If LSU's won 2 conference games. 2. They finished last in the Southeastern Conference. They've lost 17 of their last 18 overall. I mean, since basically Christmas, a little after Christmas, since the new year, they've beaten Vanderbilt. That's it. They're 2-point favorite today. Okay. I ain't doing a preview because why? Okay, I mean, LSU and Georgia are playing tonight about 8:30. I'm going to do an epilogue to this season when it's over. It ain't going to be pretty, but tonight they're a 2-point favorite. So, good. I'll watch. Hey, I'm dedicated to the craft. I'm going to watch. I'm going to put myself through that tonight. And then either tomorrow or the next day, it will be over. And we'll take a look back at the season. That's going to be a really, really positive segment, Mario. I'm looking forward to that. It's been in building for the entire year. But LSU's a favorite tonight. Pelicans tonight. Mario, you're on the call tonight. That's your 10th place, New Orleans Pelicans, by the way.
Si, senor. Yeah, they don't look good right now, but NBA broadcast, get to see Luka and Kyrie in action. Still very excited.
Right. Okay. There's still a chance. They're in the playoffs as of today.
Yeah. If the season ended today! ! Yes, they would be in.
All right. My problem is who they're behind.
Yeah.
See, they're behind the Lakers now.
Yeesh.
The Lakers are the 9th seed now, and the Pelicans are the 10th seed. If that happens, that means I don't get any Victor lottery tickets. Okay. Nope. I need somebody to finish out there. I just want a chance. Just want a chance. The guy's 7'3" and he can shoot 3-pointers and handle the basketball. I mean, I just want to give me a ping pong ball in the hopper is all I'm asking for, right?
Detroit and Houston doing their best.
Well, they're going to have plenty of ping pong balls in the hopper. Lakers picks, Pels, whatever. I mean, I would prefer the Lakers to fall off, but Darvin Ham's actually done a really nice job out there.
Yeah, the Brow's playing well. I told y'all before the show, it reminds me a little bit of 2018 when Cousins went down. Everybody gave up on the Pelican season, and then AD just went on a tear. It's similar right now.
Yeah, okay. So barring the inevitable Anthony Davis injury. The Lakers are hanging tough right now. I wanted to start today's show with more quarterback stuff. This has been quarterback week in the NFL, and we've seen Daniel Jones get his extension. We've seen Geno Smith get his contract done. Geno Smith get his contract done. Derek Carr signed with the Saints, get his contract done. And then yesterday, the news surrounding Lamar Jackson coming out that the Ravens had put the non-exclusive tag on him, meaning he's guaranteed $32 million for the season in 2023, but nothing past that. And it also allows teams to come in and make an offer for him that the Ravens have the opportunity to match or receive compensation. Base compensation is 2 first-round picks. You can negotiate around that. That's important to remember that, for instance, if the Houston Texans wanted to make a play for Lamar Jackson, they could. And instead of giving the 2 first-round picks, the Texans could say, we'll give you the number 2 pick straight up and maybe a 4 or something like that because that pick is so high. So you can negotiate, but the baseline is 2 first-round picks. And the outrage that I have heard over the last 16, 18 hours about Lamar Jackson is not getting a whole lot of attention, or there are teams that are not interested in Lamar Jackson. There's something in play here, and they're talking about collusion among the owners, and this is this could be potentially a big deal. The Deshaun Watson contract is what's driving everything here, in my opinion. The reason that teams are shying away from Lamar Jackson, including the Baltimore Ravens, is twofold. Number one is the contract. He wants Deshaun Watson guaranteed money, and nobody wants to give it to him. Why? Because Deshaun Watson's contract is the only one like it in the league. And the rest of the owners thought that Cleveland was nuts for doing it, guaranteeing 100% of his contract. They didn't like the precedent that it set. They don't want to go into negotiations with the union the next time the collective bargaining agreement is up with this anywhere near the table. They will not allow the NFL contract structure to resemble the NBA's. They just simply won't do it. And Cleveland bucked the trend. Why? Because Cleveland is a desperate franchise. Cleveland was not going to win the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes in any other manner than to offer something unprecedented, and so they did. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the NFL is going to do that. They're not going to follow suit. The Ravens, as an organization, are about as well run as it gets, and they're saying, we're not doing that. We know you really good. We have no doubt in your ability to lead this team, but we're not putting 100% guarantee into a contract for a quarterback who has not been able to finish a game in December and January in the last 2 years. We're simply not going to put ourselves up against that. It's not helping Jackson's case with the Ravens that the last big guarantee they put down on an offensive lineman, that guy got hurt the next game and they were on the hook for most of it. But what they're saying, what the rest of the league is saying is we're going to do deals the way that the quarterback market is structured besides Deshaun Watson. Let me give you some numbers here, okay? Earlier in the week, Derek Carr signed for $150 million. About 2/3 of that was guaranteed. Geno Smith signed for $105 million. Roughly 2/3 of that, or maybe a little bit less than 2/3 of that, was guaranteed. Daniel Jones's contract, $160 million. Roughly 2/3 of that was guaranteed, give or take a little bit. Russell Wilson, this was last offseason now, okay? Russell Wilson signed for $242 million, of which roughly, altogether now, 2/3 was guaranteed. About $160 million out of $240 million. About 2/3 of it was guaranteed. Now, Kyler Murray did a little bit better. His contract was for $230 million total, but $189 million of it was guaranteed. So a little over 80%, 82% of Kyler Murray's contract was guaranteed. The Ravens, according to multiple reports, offered $230 million, which would have been the same thing as Kyler Murray last offseason. But they offered $133 million guaranteed to Lamar Jackson because of his injury history, 58%. Well, I can understand why he turned that down. The difference, though, is that he won't budge off the 100%. He wants Deshaun Watson's contract. They offered him something resembling Russell Wilson's contract, a little short, but not much. A little bit more short of Kyler Murray's. Certainly in line with what the last 3 free agent quarterbacks have signed with. Now, none of them won an MVP the way Lamar Jackson did. But you have to factor in 3 things. This is not disrespect to Lamar Jackson. If anybody could sign Lamar Jackson, they would do it. But when you start to add in all of these other things, he wants 100% of his contract guaranteed. They don't want to do it. He is often injured and plays in a style which suggests that could continue. Now, maybe he doesn't miss another game for the next 3 years. I don't know. I just know what he's missed the last 2. And then finally, you have to add in draft pick compensation. So if you're saying, why would any team want to draft a quarterback in the top 10 rather than go get Russell Wilson, rather than go get Lamar Jackson? The reasons are there. If you go get a quarterback in the top 10 picks, one of the top 4 guys, they may not be as good as Lamar Jackson. They don't cost as much as Lamar Jackson. They may be the next superstar, or they may be a bust. Teams are willing to make that gamble on having a cost-controlled quarterback for the first 5 years of his deal, because teams believe that if they do things properly, you can get to a Super Bowl with a cost-controlled Super Bowl quarterback. The Bengals did it. The Seahawks did it. The Rams did it. First time they lost the Super Bowl, but with Jared Goff. They believe if you get, and the Eagles did it this year with Jalen Hurts. You can get a quarterback in there that's on a rookie contract and put a team around him. The guy's good. That's the best way to get to a Super Bowl. So you don't have that luxury with Lamar Jackson. You have to carry him at full freight. You have to sacrifice a lot of draft capital. May not be the 2 first-round picks. You may be able to negotiate Baltimore down from that, but it's a lot. And then the guy has not been able to finish games late in the season for 2 years running. I mean, this is pretty cut and dried. Contract, draft compensation, injuries. That's why you're seeing a lack of interest in Lamar Jackson. If Lamar Jackson was willing to take the Kyler Murray deal, okay, and just sign with Baltimore, I think Baltimore would do something resembling the Kyler Murray deal with Lamar Jackson right now. I could be completely off, but I think they would be willing to do something, or let's say between the Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray deals. And I'm bringing those up because those were the 2 big offseason deals last year. Now, what are the 2 big offseason deals coming next? Burrow and Herbert. Well, you want to put yourself between Burrow and Herbert? How much you want to bet that the Bengals and the Chargers, with 2 of the hottest young quarterbacks in the league, don't give them 100% guaranteed? They're not going to do it. They think Cleveland is out their tree for what they gave to Deshaun Watson, and they're simply not going to follow suit. And Jackson's holding firm. That's why there hasn't been that kind of interest. It's not because people don't believe in Lamar Jackson as a player. My God, turn the tape on. I mean, he can play. That's not the issue. The issue is money and draft compensation and durability. Wake Forest and Syracuse just started the second half. Deacons by a point. We'll talk a little college basketball before the end of the show as well. We will take a break. When we come back, Scott Rabalais from The Advocate will join us. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs with hot ball crawfish every day, starting at 11 o'clock. You like ball crawfish, head on over to Big Mike's. That's 7 days a week. If ball shrimp are your preference, it's all you can eat ball shrimp on Monday night starting at 5 o'clock. Got our jitterbug lessons. Mario's getting better at this. He's been going in on Thursday nights. Swamp Pop jitterbug lessons starting at 6. DJ K-Jack at 7 on Thursday. And then on Saturday, the Drama Kings will be on stage starting at 8 o'clock. Big Mike's with happy hour Monday through Friday from 3 until 7, and also on Sunday. Big sports days on Sunday. Happy hour starts at 11 a.m. You can always rent out Big Mike's multiple size party rooms for your private events, and offsite catering is available as well. With the Denham Springs Hall of Fame in the front of the restaurant, you know this is Denham Springs through and through. Part of the soul of the city right there on Aspen Boulevard. At Big Mike's, we're kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is...
Hey, it's join me on Wednesday for a Hunt Palmer show. It's a What If Wednesday, and Chris Demouy talks baseball, LSU, and Lamar from the box, and SEC tournament basketball as well. Hunt Palmer show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Annegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Double podcast day up right now. Our Baseball at the Box with Dan Canavary, a full recap of everything that's going on with LSU baseball so far. And we give you an idea of what we think the lineup and the rotation and the bullpen and everything else will look like. I guess if you do the lineup, the rotation, and the bullpen, that's pretty much everything, right? Baseball at the Box, 1045 ESPN.com, and wherever you get podcasts, brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. And our Handycast today is with Gordy Rush. It's a full half-hour preview of LSU spring football with Gordy Rush. That's brought to you by Supreme Rice. Check that out as well. We've been podcasting this morning. Let's bring in Scott Rabalais from The Advocate. Rabs, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. I haven't been podcasting. I've been columnizing. So there's a new Rab column up on the website if y'all want to check it out.
What's the topic? I hadn't.
One of my notes columns. Special teams changes. Angel Reese not being on the Wooden Award list, and Ben Taylor, the former LSU golfer, skipping the players this week to get married.
To get married. Okay. Well,
Yep.
we'll give him a pass on that, I guess. When you're a professional golfer, don't you have to get married in the fall? I mean, don't you tell your wife like, hey, we need to get married when there's like no big events, right?
Yes. Apparently, the story is they got engaged last year when he was still on the Korn Ferry Tour, which is the AAA of PGA Tour golf, right?
Yeah, but you got to think big, right?
You got to think big, but they didn't think that big. And the place they wanted to get married, the only two weekends available were this weekend and Masters Saturday. And so he thought, hey, you can't miss the Masters. So he's 30th on the FedEx Cup points list, but he's not going to be in. But and he's not in the Masters either. He'd have to win to get in. But hopefully, maybe fortune will smile on him in that regard.
Well, he's going to have to tell her, look, if I'm going to be a professional golfer, you're never going to get to go anywhere but Sawgrass for our anniversary. I mean, that's it. Sorry. I told my wife with my schedule away, it revolved around sports when we got married. I said, well, we can get married any month you want as long as it's July. And that worked out, schedule-wise for us, I guess. Rabs, I'm going to kind of save the Angel Reese thing for the next segment, which is first class, second class, no class. You can take a good guess as to where that's going to fall in the category. But I do want to ask you about LSU women's basketball and the possibility that they will be now a 3 seed. I get the non-conference schedule. I get. They're 28-2, man. How far how far are you comfortable dropping them that's the same seeding that they had last year. And am I safe in saying that this year's team is considerably better than last year's?
I think that's a safe bet to say, yes. It's unfortunate. I mean, LSU is getting hammered by the fact that they lost to a top 15 team. And in Tennessee, by 2, it's not like they lost to, Texas A&M, who's not any good in women's basketball this year, and their net is still number 3 now. In the country, right behind South Carolina and UConn. And UConn's ascendancy with getting AZ Flood back, and they won the Big East tournament, is what has people like Charlie Cream kicking LSU to the 3 line. Charlie's explanation to me was that the flaw in the net, which is the main metric that the selection committee uses, and remember they did away. They don't want to use RPI anymore, which has LSU like about 12. Is that it puts a lot of emphasis on, it puts a lot of weight on offensive and defensive efficiency. And his argument is that LSU has built up its offensive and defensive efficiency by beating up on the little sisters of the poor. That said, they didn't play a great non-conference schedule. They didn't play, and they're only 6-2 in against the quad 1 wins, and a lot of teams have like 10 wins or something like that. But they were 15-1 in the conference. Now you could say 16-2 in a conference that's still ranked number 3 in the country. It's not the best, but it's not chopped liver either, even though it was a down year for the SEC. And I just don't really get it. And their non-conference RPI is like 315, but Virginia Tech, who people think is the number 1 seed, their non-conference RPI is like 228. I mean, it's not like that's like significantly better. So, or at all better. And the ACC is 1 spot ahead of the SEC. So I don't know. We'll see. I will say this women's selection committee I've always found is more unpredictable than the men's selection committee, and they might still go with LSU as a 2 seed. But don't be surprised if they're a 3, which is, like you said, what they were seeded last year. And maybe LSU can use this as some fodder for a motivational factor for them for this year.
Yeah, next year they'll schedule the Celtics, Bucks, and Lakers maybe in the non-conference. Congratulations to women's basketball, though, if this is true. They've gotten just as ridiculous as the football stuff, right? So what did they say? We want to take the subjectivity out of it. We want to come up with hard metrics, things that have no subjectivity to it at all. We'll just feed all this stuff into the computer, and we'll come up with a number, and we'll use that. And so they did that, just like they did with the college football, with the BCS. And okay, We got the number. This is it. All the subjectivity's out of it. Okay, here are the teams. We don't like those teams. We should have people in this thing. Okay, well, we'll put the people back in this thing. Well, they have a bias. Okay, we should go back to the numbers. Anytime it spits out something that they don't like, they want to change the formula. You're the ones that made the damn formula. Okay?
Exactly. They came up with this new, better metric for the men's and the women's tournaments, and it says LSU's still, in the realm of being a number one seed, which I don't think anyone expects that would happen, and I don't think that would necessarily be what they deserve to be. But I looked at the AP poll. The AP poll, some of the voters had LSU like 12th or 13th in the country in their poll. It's like they were just waiting for a chance to knock LSU down. We're just waiting for them to lose, and they lost by 2 to Tennessee, not by 20, not by 18, by 2, and and I looked at some of the voters, like Debbie Antonelli, CBS, ESPN announcer. She has LSU like 7th. M.A. Vopel, who does a power ranking for ESPN every week, has LSU 7th. I think that's fair. I think LSU's real rank. The coaches still have LSU 4th, so I think LSU's ranking should be somewhere in between there. Let's say 6 or 7. Okay, that's fair. But 9th and to be a 3 seed, that's not fair. And you're saying they don't pass the eye test because the non-conference schedule they played. Well, they passed the metric that you want to use test, and now you're saying that's not good enough. So we'll see on Sunday, but don't be surprised if LSU's on the 3 line again.
Well, and they can do that, obviously, if they want to. And the non-conference strength of schedule is that's legitimate criticism. Okay, I got no problem with saying that it was not good, and I have no problem with you saying that the Southeastern Conference isn't quite as good as it has been in past years. It's still a number 3 conference in the net rankings, and
you're gonna have 7 teams in the tournament probably.
Yeah, I mean it's not like it's the Horizon League or anything like that. Let me move on. Derek Carr to the Saints. Your thoughts?
I agree with the people who are saying it might make you the best team in the NFC South, but it doesn't make you, a Super Bowl contender, which is the ultimate thing. I still would have just say let's move on. Let's get out of this salary cap hell that they continue to kick down the road. It hasn't worked, Charlie. I mean, they keep doing this financial thing, and it hasn't made the Saints. Yeah, they should have been in the Super Bowl. The year they got shafted in the NFC Championship game, but it hasn't made them Super Bowl champions again. And I think it's time to just clear out, start again, draft a young quarterback, and go on from there. So I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled by the Derek Carr situation, and I think you'll make them a good team, good with a chance to be great, Charlie, as you like to say, perhaps, but. Probably good with a chance to be good.
Well, I'll continue to stand on this island by myself while everybody else says, you should go get a quarterback that you can go to the Super Bowl with. And I keep waiting for somebody to tell me who that is and how the Saints can get him. But so until then, I'll just sit here. I never meant to carry the water for Derek Carr quite this much. It is a true second class thing. I like it. I don't love it. But it's what's available to me. I'd like the filet mignon, but, in a pinch, I'll take a good burger, okay? And because what's available to me past that is Spam. I got a certain amount of, capital I can work with here and what's available to me. So I'm on this island, but I already know what's going to happen. We're going to get to September. The Saints are going to lose a game. Derek Carr is going to play badly in one of these things, and everybody's going to blame me. Okay, I don't know where that's going to come from, but everybody's going to blame me. It's the best.
Lonely at the top, Charlie.
Yeah, it's best that they could do. Well, okay. The ESPN put out a thing today about the best fits for Lamar Jackson, and 2 of the top 2 fits were in the NFC South: Atlanta Falcons, Carolina Panthers. Now, both of these teams, right this second, can go out and negotiate with Lamar Jackson, 26-year-old former MVP, when he plays, top quarterback, and there doesn't seem to be a rush to get there. So, they're choosing to go with Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral at this point rather than Lamar Jackson. So given those parameters, I don't think Derek Carr's all that bad an option.
But does it make sense to take a chance on finding a quarterback who might be Patrick Mahomes or might be Josh Allen or might be Joe Burrow? Maybe Hendon Hooker can be that. You know, I saw LSU play Patrick Mahomes in the Texas Bowl. I didn't know he'd become a 2-time Super Bowl, multiple MVP.
Nobody did. He wouldn't have won 11th. Nobody saw that.
So, I just think this doesn't get them past the second round of the playoffs, signing Derek Carr. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I think that's the ultimate goal, right? Once you've been there, you want to go back. You're not the New York Jets who haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 60s. You still win you still get an organization committed to winning, and I don't know. It's a tough call.
You would have been a great contestant on Let's Make a Deal. See, Monty Hall would have handed you $500 cash and said, do you want to take the $500 cash or do you want what's behind door number 2? And you'd have said, Monty, here's the money. I want what's behind door number 2. And you might get the new car or you might get the zonk. So, believe me, way more people are in your camp than that are in my camp. I would have took the $500 and said, Monty, have a nice day. That's just me. All right, the LSU basketball team tonight against Georgia, a favorite, which is a little bit of a surprise, a 2-point favorite against Georgia tonight. We may do this again next week, Rab, but when they write the final chapter on this season, what positive has come out of this season for LSU basketball, if any?
I don't think Matt McMahon is getting them in further NCAA trouble.
Boy, that's good. That is just so creative.
I mean, whenever they lose, and I'm taking Georgia on the points tonight. If I were to bet, I don't bet on LSU sports, but if I were to, I think I would not take LSU. Whenever their season ends, I'm gonna say, it just you just didn't gain anything. You didn't gain any traction this year. You didn't make any progress. You're pretty much going to have to start over again next year. That's. I guess they didn't fall further behind necessarily, but I don't know. I'm searching for positives. I guess the one positive, and I don't think it carries a lot of weight with a lot of LSU fans, is that the program seems to be more respectable, for lack of a better word, presentable, on the up and up.
You mean Pat Forty's not got his panties in a wad? Is that where you're going?
Well,
Pat Forty's happy now. Great.
It counts for something in that the NCAA case is still not resolved after 4+ years, which is beyond ridiculous. But we all know that. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to do. LSU didn't want to hire I'm trying to think of the former LSU assistant who got in all the trouble, Donnie Tyndall. They didn't hire Donnie Tyndall. With the NCAA, I think would have taken a dim view of,
He's got a 15-year show cause. Yeah, you just picked the worst guy ever.
Well,
yeah,
okay,
I would imagine.
I'm just saying someone else with a more shady past. Scott Woodward's reputation. He could have brought Bruce Pearl over here. Lured him over here from Auburn. I don't know. So it's not that. So I think McMahon's got a good reputation as an upstanding individual. Kind of in the Dudley Do-Right kind of mode at this point, but we'll see. But yeah, that's about it. Otherwise, it's not very positive at all.
All right, I tried. Scott, we appreciate it. We will talk to you next week when the brackets will be out and LSU spring football will be underway. So we got a lot coming up. Thanks a lot.
When we talk next week, they'll be playing basketball. It'll be March Madness. Will be.
That's right. Yeah, they will be playing basketball by this time next week. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. We'll be back. First class, second class, no class. When we return, this is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Had another wonderful experience at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge. Purchased a vehicle last Saturday. And, when you go in to purchase a vehicle or maybe just to see what your vehicle is worth, Infinity is now buying cars from customers right off the street. It takes them 15 minutes, and they will tell you what your vehicle is worth. You can trade it in on a new car. You can trade it in for a certified pre-owned car. You can sell it to them outright, or you can just take your estimate and that's the end of it. You'll at least know what the vehicle is worth. There's no pressure to buy. You go in, that certified pre-owned program is fantastic. Your vehicle has been through a rigorous inspection, and of course, it's not going to come with that new car cost. You're going to be able to get that long warranty on it, the 6-year warranty, 100,000 mile powertrain if it does pass those inspections. And you know what? You're going to have roadside assistance. You're going to have 1-year prepaid maintenance on it. There's so many advantages to the certified pre-owned program at Infinity. Transparency in pricing, really good buying experience. I've done it a number of times. Next time I'm looking for a vehicle, I'll be back at Infinity of Baton Rouge.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We preview a busy night as LSU baseball is back at the box. The Tigers open up the SEC basketball tournament, and the Pels play the Mavs. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hanny Time. First class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second class.
That no man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
My life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First class, second class, no class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
First class, second class, and no class. Start off, first class comes out of the NFL Combine for LSU. We did a podcast on this last week about players that could help themselves the most. And the player I thought could help himself the most at the Combine from LSU was Anthony Bradford. The reason being that Bradford fits the mold of an offensive guard in the NFL, because most teams prefer these just massive road grading guards. But Bradford had a couple of problems at LSU. Number one, I thought he played a little heavy. He's a huge guy, and it's football. You want big people. But I thought he played a little heavy at times, and I thought that contributed to some of his injuries. My guess is that Bradford played somewhere north of 350 pounds most of his LSU career. So, when that guy gets down to somewhere around 325, 330, he's going to really help himself, because he's exactly what teams are looking for. They're looking for these massive road grading guards. His feet are not great in pass protection, but if he's a guard, it doesn't matter. You started off as an LSU tackle, and then they moved him inside the guard. Anthony Bradford showed up at 6'4", 332 pounds, okay? In just the eyeball test from me, that's a good 20 pounds lighter than what he played at LSU. Now, somebody's going to come along and say he played at 341 pounds and 7 ounces. Stop it, okay? I watched him. The guy was huge. He was too big. He played well, but he was too big. He's going to play better at 332 pounds than he plays at 350 pounds. That's my opinion. But he also ran the 40 in 5 seconds, 5.08 seconds. That's moving you for 332 pounds. He had a 30-inch vertical, which is better than 2 LSU wide receivers that went to the Combine. And he bench pressed 225 34 times, which was the second most. So if you go in there and I don't really care what his vertical score is or his 3-cone score is, but I do care what he weighs, because I think it contributes to his availability. I think he's going to get hurt at 350 pounds. He's going to be a lot better at 330. If you get down to 325, probably even better than that. And how strong are you? Well, 34 reps. That's pretty good. Anthony Bradford, great job. I think the guy moved himself up considerably. I thought he was a third-day pick when we went into the Combine. Now, he might sneak into the third or fourth round, something like that. So first class to Anthony Bradford. Second class, LSU spring football starts tomorrow. Again, we got a 30-minute podcast Gordy and I did this morning, we went through the roster from A to Z, position by position. So if you're interested in that, it's brought to you by Supreme Rice. You can go check it out, 1045ESPN.com right now, wherever you get podcasts. On baseball, we didn't have a chance to do much baseball today. Cano and I did baseball at the box. It's brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, and it's available at the same places. Here's some of the guys that this is just kind of a little preview. Good with a chance to be great. These are players that I think are going to get the most opportunity to really make a move as far as playing time in this spring. And there's some guys that are out, and of course, not all of the freshmen are here. But I will give you 2 tight ends, because LSU's number 1 tight end, Mason Taylor, is out for the spring. So you got 2 early enrollees in Mac Markway and Jackson McCohen, who are going to have tight end to themselves. Jack Mashburn has left the program, and the rest of the tight ends aren't there yet. So these 2 early entry freshmen are going to have the reps to themselves. This is a chance for them to really come in and make a mark. Now, tomorrow morning, when they go out there for practice, it's going to be their first ever college football practice. So I'm not expecting them to be, Ozzie Newsome right out of the gate. But there's going to be a lot of reps for these 2 guys. Another one is Jacobian Guillory. Jacobian Guillory was LSU's 3rd defensive tackle last year, but Jaquilin Roy and Mekhi Wingo soaked up so many of the reps. And listen, to be honest with you, if Guillory would have been better, he would have gotten more reps. They didn't want to play Mekhi Wingo 95% of the time. Nobody wants to play their defensive tackles 90% of the time. So Guillory needed to get better. There's going to be plenty of reps here. Mason Smith will be there, but no contact. Probably no contact for most of the spring. Mekhi Wingo is out for the spring, and most of the transfer. Jordan Jefferson will not be there this spring. Jalen Lee will, but he and Jacoby and Guillory are going to have an opportunity to soak up an awful lot of the reps. So I would give you Guillory as another guy that I think can really make a move. Another player that can take advantage of an absence is Marlon Martinez at center. Charles Turner's going to miss spring. Turner's been the starter for most of the season last year, but when Martinez got in there and got his one start, he looked pretty good. He's significantly bigger than Turner. So, and he's been here a while. You know, the rest of that class has moved on, but Martinez is still here. I think, you know, having a lot of those center reps to himself, he's got a chance to really stand out. And then pretty much anybody that plays cornerback. The cornerback is a complete blank canvas going in because all of the guys that played last year are gone. The only guy that's back is LaTerrence Welsh as a returning player. So, and Deuce Chestnut from Syracuse, who I expect to be one of the starters, is out for the spring. So, Denver Harris, J.K. Johnson, Zy Alexander, Jeremiah Hughes, Javier Toviano, any of these guys that stand out, you're going to have, there is playing time to be had there. So those aren't the only players we'll be watching, but all of those players have a very clear avenue to a lot of reps in these 15 practices. So good with a chance to be great. Here's your chance, guys. Go out and make a move up the roster. Kind of gave away my no class. The Naismith College Basketball Player of the Year was down to 15 finalists for the women's division last week, and Angel Reese wasn't on that list. Somebody's going to have to explain this to me like I've never watched a basketball game before, because Angel Reese is in the top 5 in the nation in both scoring and rebounding. She was the SEC Player of the Week 7 times, which means that she was Player of the Week as many times as the rest of the players in the league were pretty much all season, which if you're Player of the Week half or better of the time, shouldn't you be Player of the Year, at least in that league? So I don't like the conspiracy theories. I think they're usually a waste of time. You know, the tinfoil hat people, most of the time I don't play into this, except when it comes to Alabama, because all of that's true. But everything else is like, you know, there's probably an explanation for that. I can't come up with an explanation for this. They were asked about her academic standing, which might have been a hindrance. She has played in every game. So if she is in any way academically restricted, LSU'd have to forfeit every game. And Kim Mulkey put a stop to that after the last game against Tennessee. Said Angel Reese is qualified, period. So that's the end of that. Can it really be that they have some kind of grudge against the coach or the player for some reason? Or Aaliyah Boston, I get. All right. You know, best player on the best team, and it came in with, you know, all of the preseason stuff, and maybe voters just kind of fell back to, well, she was the best player on the best team last year. She's the best player on the best team this year. She should be Player of the Year. I don't think that's all you should look at, but okay, at least I get that. You can't tell me there's 15 better players in the country than Angel Reese. I haven't watched every team in the country play, nor do I intend to, but I've watched enough basketball. That's why I say you got to explain this to me like I've never watched a basketball game before, because you can't tell me there's 15 players better than her. So why isn't she on this list? I'm not saying she had to win it, but she's not. You think she's not the best player? Okay, I'll hear an argument somewhere else for that. You want to say she's not one of the top 5 players in America? I think you're wrong, but I'll hear an argument for that. Top 15? No, there's no argument for that. There's no rational argument for that. So tell me why you didn't vote for her. Don't like her coach? Is there something else in the requirements that we don't know about? Tell me. Tell me now. Otherwise, I just think you're a bitter person and you're doing this out of spite for, I'm not sure, whatever. But if you didn't vote for Angel Reese as one of the top 15 players, you're just as stupid as those Hall of Fame voters that didn't vote for Hank Aaron or Stan Musial or Rod Carew or Babe Ruth, okay? It took, 80 years for somebody to get in the Hall of Fame unanimously. You didn't vote for Willie Mays? You didn't vote for Sandy Koufax? You don't get to vote anymore, okay? If you didn't vote for Angel Reese as one of the top 15 players in the country, you don't get to vote anymore. We're done. We're done talking. Take a break. Come back and wrap things up. Here's Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
First class, second class, no class, brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com. You know, here during Lent, you get wonderful seafood pairings with rice, whether it be crawfish etouffee or shrimp stew or a seafood gumbo. Make it with Supreme Rice and support our Louisiana farmers down in Southwest Louisiana since 1936. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed right there down in near Crowley, Louisiana. Easy to pick up at all of your AG food stores, all of your Walmarts and Walmart neighborhood stores, your Rouses. You're going to stretch your food dollar and enjoy a delicious product, whether it is the long grain, the medium grain, the brown, or the jasmine. Pick up Supreme Rice for your next family gathering. Supreme Rice. For more information and great recipes, go to SupremeRice.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou.
Join me, Jimmy Ott, for Game Time, live from Snow's Seafood and Steak Airline Highway at Highway 74 in Gonzales. 6 to 8 p.m. Wednesday. Got a bunch of guests giving out picks. Game Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Get into Bayou Ford chat for questions. Chris wants to know, are the Falcons making a mistake by not going after Lamar Jackson? Yes, and Carolina too. If Carolina chooses not to go there. These are, today ESPN did a piece on the 16 teams that would be in play for Lamar Jackson. 16 teams looking for a quarterback. And the number 1 fit was Atlanta. Number 2 was Carolina. Let me tell you why this makes a lot of sense to me. Both of these teams are outside the top 7, and there are at least 3, maybe 4 teams that are looking for quarterbacks in front of them, meaning that the top 4 quarterbacks in the league, in the draft, may be off the board by the time you get to 8 or 9 with Atlanta or Carolina, meaning that to get the quarterback they want, or maybe just one of the quarterbacks, period, they're going to have to give up draft capital anyway. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do this if I was Houston, and I can take, within reason, the quarterback I want. If Bryce Young's off the board, I can take C.J. Stroud. If Chicago stays put and takes Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, I guess that's off the board now, then I can take Young or Stroud, whichever one I prefer. But Atlanta and Carolina don't have that option. The top 3 quarterbacks are going to be off the board by then. There's a good chance the 4th is as well. So if you're going to sacrifice draft capital anyway, then I'd rather do it for something that's more of a sure thing. Like I said, I don't do this deal if I'm the Colts. I don't do this deal if I'm Houston. But if I'm Atlanta and I can give you the number 8 pick in this year's draft and the number whatever pick, my first-round pick in next year's draft for Lamar Jackson, I do it. And I structure the contract in a way that I don't think Baltimore will match it. I don't give him 100%. They're not going to do that. But I give him something that's maybe just an eyelash north of what Kyler Murray's deal was. Somewhere in that 80 to 85% guaranteed range, something that Lamar will sign and be happy with, something that Baltimore won't match. And then 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson is way better than having to give up a first-round pick to get into the thing to draft Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. Yeah, for those 2 teams, Lamar Jackson makes a lot of sense. Thanks to everybody for participating. 70-69, Wake Forest over Syracuse. We already got a good game to start out the college basketball day. For Mario and Taylor, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN.